Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. We're here tonight to celebrate a decade of Sefaria, but my journey with Sefaria actually began 11 years ago when I met two guys, friends of a friend, and they told me about their new project. At that point, it was just Josh, Brett, and a great idea. There was no organization, no budget, no job description, but they awed me with their vision of bringing Torah into the digital age. Let me remind you what the dark days before Sefaria were like. Studying Torah generally required a physical library of texts, fluency in Hebrew and in Aramaic, and more often than not, access to rooms that weren't always open to people of all backgrounds and genders. Josh and Brett wanted to change all of that. Their vision was to harness the best that the internet had to offer, to make our shared textual heritage available, accessible, and welcoming. Over the past decade, I've met so many people whose learning journeys have been transformed by Sefaria. I never attended Jewish day school, they tell me. Or Talmud wasn't something that was offered to girls when I was growing up. And then they show me Sefaria on their phones. Now, I wouldn't be a good chief learning officer if I didn't share just a little bit of learning to help explain Sefaria's approach over the last 10 years. There's a story in the Babylonian Talmud, Brachot Daf 28a, about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who, upon becoming head of the yeshiva, broke with the precedent of his predecessor, Rabban Gamliel, and opened the doors to the Beit Midrash, removing the guard from the front door and allowing all who wished to enter. Tana oto hayom silkuhu l'shomer hapetach v'nitna lahem reshut l'talmidim likanes. On that day, they dismissed the guard at the study hall door, and permission was granted to the students to enter. Sefaria's free online library in English and in Hebrew opened the doors to the Beit Midrash. And where Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah added hundreds of benches, we have added hundreds of thousands. And just as we were opening our doors, we were also opening our data. We believe that Torah is the inheritance of the entire Jewish people. And so, we encourage others to take our content for other digital projects. We have seen a tremendous proliferation of other Jewish learning apps and websites, from the Orthodox Union's All Daf app to My Jewish Learning's Daily Dose of Talmud email. Projects that build on our data to create new digital learning experiences. We've come so far in just 10 years, but there's still so much to do. We are now positioned to scale Torah learning to welcome millions more people into our shared conversation. It turns out, though, there's a big difference between making texts available and making texts accessible. And technology can help us with that in dramatic ways. Our team is leveraging ChatGPT to build tools that can alter how we interface with Torah. We already have a prototype of an AI Chavruta bot. It's in development, and it may serve as the next generation search tool on Sefaria. One that can answer questions based on texts in our library and provide summaries, references, and sources for further study. We are just months away from releasing a digital Torah encyclopedia that will help learners navigate the Jewish library based on their area of interest. Sources on everything from social issues, arts, culture, from Talmudic figures to life cycle events. All of this is part of our work to make our vast library easier to access. Sefaria is used today by a wide variety of Jews for a wide variety of purposes. The mother of a bat mitzvah girl looking to read the Torah portion and find relevant texts for a Dvar Torah to share. A teacher at a yeshiva in Israel researching a high-level class about a halachic topic. A prospective convert studying with a rabbi over Zoom. These are very different kinds of users. And over the next few years, we plan to personalize the Sefaria experience, surfacing content to meet these specific needs and interests, leading different users down different paths through our virtual stacks. And we're going to continue growing our library. Believe it or not, there are still hundreds of millions of words of Torah literature that have not yet been added to Sefaria. This is especially true for works that are still under copyright. Works like Rav Moshe Feinstein's Igrot Moshe and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel's The Sabbath. We're still acquiring essential translations as well, and we're also exploring the potential for AI translation. We can actually imagine that in the not too distant future, we may be able to translate Hebrew texts on Sefaria into most major languages and get them summarized by AI. In addition to the classics, we're also adding voices that bridge ancient texts and 21st century learners. Torah written by women, Torah from a diverse range of scholars, building towards a library that's inclusive, with Torah composed by people as varied as our growing audience. We're also expanding across genres, texts like Chassidut and Kabbalah, often less well known even for experienced learners. And we're adding them to our library in the original and in translation. We're grateful to Vital Transformation in particular for their help and support in this work. At such a difficult moment, when many of us are worried about anti-Semitism, about Israel, about the world that our children will inherit, I've never been more optimistic about the future of Jewish learning and the promise of digital Torah. I visit a lot of Jewish schools, and I can tell you that kids are really excited about Sefaria and about Torah study. On a recent visit to a day school in Toronto, when I finished my presentation, almost 150 kids lined up to ask me questions and to get Sefaria stickers. They wanted to show off their Sefaria pride, a pride in learning, a pride in texts, and pride in their Jewish identity. This is the beauty of making the Jewish library not just available, not just accessible, but truly inclusive and welcoming, of building upon the work to democratize access to Torah that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah began all those years ago. As Sefaria continues to grow and make Torah accessible, everyone will have the opportunity to feel connected to our past and to be part of the great Jewish conversation of the future. One person who really understood the potential of technology to expand the reach of Torah and to bind the Jewish community together was Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks. From Sefaria's first interaction with him, he lent his wisdom and his support to this project. It is thus incredibly meaningful to us that over the next few years, Sefaria will be working with Koren publishers and the Rabbi Sacks legacy to translate a dozen of Rabbi Sacks's works into Hebrew. And to make all of Rabbi Sacks's Koren library, several dozen volumes, available for free on Sefaria. We're grateful to Koren and to the Rabbi Sacks legacy for this wonderful partnership, and to our amazing friends at the William Davidson Foundation for making it possible.